Alright guys, doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to record these notes for you guys to watch in class and have whenever you want to go back and look at them. So if you're taking notes, you can go back and forth between the video and your notes. You can write down your notes on paper while you're watching the video. You can watch the video, then do your notes after. It doesn't matter to me. But this is just something a little bit different that we can do since I will not be there today, as today is Wednesday. So let's get started now. A little bit of review here with, I know it's been a little while. We just got done with the video about the McKinley assassinations, and we're moving on to Teddy. So quick recap here of American imperialism. This eagle spreading its wings from tip to tip, 10,000 miles. A very positive rendition of American imperialism as it stretches across, half of the globe, whereas opposed to 100 years before that, it was barely anything at all. And then a more negative rendition where, Uncle Sam is wondering what else he needs to order off of this menu to be served. And also, just so you know, this disclaimer, I am filming this with my dog in the room, so if you hear something in the background, it is her. But anyway, so what is Uncle Sam going to take next? There's McKinley. Now, McKinley, at the end of the video there, you guys saw, he does die, and now Teddy Roosevelt steps onto the stage, and he is going to become our youngest president at the time, and a person who most likely would not have ever been chosen by his political party to be president. As we were talking earlier, Teddy Roosevelt was only chosen to be vice president because he was thought of as being very annoying. So this person, this guy, Teddy, he becomes president not through an election but through an assassination, and he becomes one of the most famous, presidents that we have. And it was by fate that he became president. So part of TR's persona, okay, part of his character is this rendition here in this picture, carrying his giant clubbing stick, because when you think of Teddy Roosevelt, one of the most famous quotes that he is known for is the quote, "Speak softly and carry a big stick, and you will go far." And that "speak softly" talks about politics. You might not want to place all your cards out on the table, so to speak. You don't want to be just a pushing force with words, threatening or otherwise in politics. You want to be soft spoken. You want to be calm, collect, cool, confident. All of those C words as I get through my alliteration here. The second part, carry a big stick. Now, you see the big stick here in the picture, okay, carrying over his right shoulder, and he's also toting along there some impressive war vessels. The receiver, the debt collectors, you can see the big stick symbolizes American military might. And if you speak softly, but you carry a big stick, so you carry that force behind you of a very strong military, you can get a lot of things done. And that's kind of what TR lived by as in his politics and as a president. So throughout the TR's presidency, we'll get a little bit later to his Roosevelt corollary, but it's kind of pictured here. And it says the big stick in the Caribbean Sea at the bottom, and this debt collection comes in at Santo Domingo, pictured there on the left. That's the Dominican Republic, and the Dominican Republic will get in a little bit of trouble, some tariff collections, and America will step in and ensure that all is well. You got Cuba, you got Mexico, you got Panama, a little bit of Venezuela in there as well. So America has become, after the Spanish-American War, this imperialistic powerhouse, and we're going to ensure that our backyard is taken care of, and that, Teddy, as he tromps through the Caribbean, toting his collection of war vessels here and carrying his big stick, he's going to make sure that all is well in America's backyard, and things are going to get done here as they need to. And so one of the first things that comes about in TR's political campaign here, or his political spectrum as he becomes president, is the Panama Canal. And when talking about the Panama Canal, you got to talk about its necessity first. And once the Spanish and American War began, there was a battleship called the Battleship Oregon who had set sail from the west coast. And once the Maine had exploded and the United States was launching its investigation, the thought was, if we go to war, we need more war vessels in the Caribbean. So they dispatched the Oregon to sail and make sure that it got there to protect any interest that we had. And this trip, the Oregon had to go from the west coast of the United States to the Caribbean. It had to go down around South America and then back to the north to get to the Caribbean. And that took a very, very long time. Too long, in fact, as we get to the end of the Spanish-American War and the United States realized that, well, now we have the Philippines and Guam and Cuba and Puerto Rico, and we've already acquired the Hawaiian Islands. So now America's got to be able to defend what we've taken, what we've been given, or however else you want to, interpret that. In order to do that, we've got to find a quicker way to get from the East Coast to the West Coast. So there needs to be a canal in the Western Hemisphere. There needs to be one, besides the Erie already. And so Panama is chosen as it is a very narrow isthmus, or narrow strip of land dividing two large bodies of water, for the geographical term. And the issue, however, is that Panama is not an independent country. Panama in the early 1900s, 1903, is a territorial claim of Colombia, which is right next door. So TR has this problem where we need a canal. Panama's the most logical choice, the second being through Nicaragua. And pictured here, TR is digging through this mountainside. As you can see, the Pacific in the distance, and the Atlantic here with its logjam of boats trying to get through, ready, anticipating the canal. And Teddy is throwing rocks and boulders and debris onto Bogota, the capital of Colombia, as the Colombian official races to the top with a new treaty. The Colombians, they get an offer from the United States. They get one, and it outlines $10 million to be paid to Colombia, with an annual payment of $250,000 on top of that, in order for the United States to have a 6-mile wide strip of land going from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And inside this 6-mile strip of land, the United States will construct the Panama Canal. And this first offer, $10,250,000 per year, is rejected by the Colombians. They do not feel like it is they are getting enough money out of it, and that the Panama Canal Zone is much more valuable than what the Americans are offering. So we got a little bit of a stalemate, and this is where another famous quote comes from TR. As you can only imagine, he has quite a few. And this is where he comes up with the quote, "Make the dirt fly." And here's a picture of the man who can make the dirt fly. So we've got this trouble with the Colombians. They rejected our offer. TR is upset. He wants this canal to be constructed by the Americans. He views it as a very important moment in world history that America can be part of as a new world leader. Excuse me. And so he comes up with an idea, with a ploy, and that is to persuade the Panamanians, or the Panama people, to rebel and revolt against the Colombians, and that's exactly what they do. So the Panamanians rebel in 1903, and Colombia amasses troops to put down the rebellion. They gather up their soldiers. They're getting ready to cross the border into Panama to stop this rebellion that has been started, that's in quotes, by the Americans, because the Americans have hired a few of their own Colombian troops to fight in Panama against those Colombian troops that are already stationed there, and so once the Colombians gather up their forces and they're getting ready to go into Panama, they see in the Caribbean Sea a very large group of American ships who are waiting for the Colombians to try and intervene so that they can stop them. The Americans can stop the Colombians. And so the American naval vessels there, they don't fire upon the Colombian soldiers, but they are a deterrent. And the Colombian soldiers do not go into Panama. They do not put down the rebellion. And 3 days after the uprising in Panama begins, President Roosevelt officially recognizes Panama as a legitimate country. 3 days. And 12 days after President Roosevelt recognizes Panama, 12 days after he does that, this new Panamanian government, the Panama government, it's in quotes, because is it legit? Not according to the Colombians, it's not. 12 days after TR recognizes them, they sign a treaty with the American government to give that canal zone to America for its original price of $10,250,000 per year. But a little bit of a side note, the 6-mile zone is widened to about 10 miles with a new deal with the Panamanian government. So it's a little bit of a shady deal. America is involved in the revolt that occurs in Panama. We definitely help ourselves quite a bit by ensuring that the Colombian soldiers will not intervene in the revolt. So it's incredibly quick how the United States agrees to take the Panama Canal Zone. So it's a little bit shady, and so this man makes the dirt fly. He ensures that the Panama Canal will be built. And so after the agreement, after Panama is given its independence from the Colombians rather reluctantly, the Panama Canal begins construction, and it is finished in 1914. Takes over a decade to complete. And at the conclusion of the Panama Canal, it ends up costing somewhere around $400 million, all told, with its construction, and at another price, more importantly, at a cost of about 25,000 human lives. Some of those are American. A majority of them are Central American workers who die from the poor conditions, and a majority of those deaths are due to disease. Malaria and yellow fever just ran rampant throughout this tropical zone. And so there's going to be a video, that I want you guys to watch. It's an actual film taken during the construction of the Panama Canal. It gives you real footage of what it was like to build it throughout its 11-year process. And there are some very bad jokes, I'll admit. It's written at a time period that their humor is a little different. So there's some bad jokes. But I don't want you to focus on those. I want you to instead listen to the information the narrator is telling you. And yes, I know his voice is a little bit boring, but just listen to the info as it's being told to you, because he has some good information about, the landslides that occurred during its construction. The rainy season that occurred, 6 months out of the year, where the soil was so saturated that it became so loose that landslides would occur, and at the very least it would force more work to dig out that land that had been the more dirt that had been slid into there, and even more tragically, the people who died because of the landslides. So focus on that. And also there's another snippet where the narrator talks about the different kind of labor groups that were used in the building of the Panama Canal, and he compares these two groups, and he uses the gold standard to symbolize one of the groups, and it's all based upon race and the hierarchy of races, and it is racist. So as you listen, to the information, focus on those two things about the building of the Panama Canal. It's a short video; it's about 5 minutes. So This Panama Canal is constructed due to American involvement in the Panamanian Revolution. Our persuasion of the Colombians to not intervene, and we purchased it from the Panamanian government, who's brand new, and America finishes the job that was started by the French, and it is one of the new modern marvels, and currently is under a process to expand and to become even larger because its channels are its locks are a little too narrow now for the mega ships that humans have constructed. So if you want more information on that, you can go ahead and look that up. That should be they're looking to have it completed, I believe, by this fall, 2015 or somewhere around. At least that's what they were shooting for. It might have been postponed. But to continue on from TR, so Teddy Roosevelt is, given some of this credit as being the president who pushed through the purchase of the Panama Canal Zone, which was finished again in 2014. Or, no, sorry, 1914, not 2014. So more about Teddy Roosevelt here. We're moving on to the big point for the end of the chapter here on his presidency, and that is what's known as the Roosevelt Corollary. Corollary, Corollary. And this corollary is a broadening of the Monroe Doctrine. President Monroe had issued this doctrine, stating, this is a little bit of review from previous, APUSH material. The Monroe Doctrine states that, the European powers who had colonies in the Western Hemisphere, they can no longer expand those colonies. The era of colonization is done, and so those colonies that European powers had, the French, the English, the Germans, the Italians, all of those countries, those big players in Europe, those that had those, sorry, my TV's going wacky. Those that had those colonies, they were allowed to keep them. However, if those colonies wished to have their own independence, those European powers had to grant those territories, those colonies, their independence. And basically, long story short, Monroe Doctrine states that European influence in the Western Hemisphere is over. There's no more influence to be had by European powers. Okay? It is over. And Roosevelt is going to expand upon this Monroe Doctrine. He's going to take it a step further. And this Roosevelt Corollary states that if Central American countries have financial troubles, America would be the one to intervene and to ensure that financial stability is the outcome, is placed there in that country. European powers are not allowed to intervene in these Central American countries, even if the European powers are the ones the Central American powers borrowed the money from. It's up to America to be the one to intervene in these cases. Basically, we, the United States, are now the only ones who are allowed to push around these smaller developing countries for the sake of economics. If it's not just no one can intervene, it's America will be the only one who will intervene. So that's Roosevelt's corollary, his take on it, and it's kind of depicted here in this political cartoon. You got Teddy Roosevelt, obviously the focal point of the picture. His new diplomacy baton there, again, that carry a big stick kind of an idea. And you got the European powers on the right, most notably the English and the Germans, and then those Central American leaders on the left, depicted because they're of a darker complexion. And the quote on the bottom, the world's constable or the world's police officer, the world's sheriff, that's going to be TR. He is the world's sheriff. He comes up with this idea that America will be the one to ensure that there's stability for everyone, but it's only up to America, not European powers. Their time has passed. It's America's time now. So the Roosevelt corollary is an important notion during TR's presidency, and so here it is again depicted. This idea that the Roosevelt corollary first had its real moment in the Dominican Republic, the Republic of Santo Domingo here. In 1905, the Dominican Republic had an issue with tariff collection, and England was going to come in and intervene, and TR and Americans, we say no. And America ends up placing troops in the Dominican Republic to ensure that tariff payments are made as soon as possible and on time. So here it is pictured with Roosevelt pointing this giant cannon at a European monarch with the Monroe Doctrine there, right on the edge. Basically, put some more meat behind the Monroe Doctrine with the Roosevelt corollary. So that kind of wraps up this chapter, this world expansion, this idea that American imperialism is how it kind of ends here. We're not done with Teddy Roosevelt, okay? I mean, he's going to come back here. We're going to talk about progressivism in the next chapter. The idea is that social reform should be given to all peoples. The lower class should be taken care of. That's a newer idea in American politics, and Teddy Roosevelt will be at the forefront, as he most notably was for many social reforms. He was a reformer or a changer as a politician. So after you're done watching this, please watch the video about the Panama Canal being built. I know it's an older video. Okay, focus in on what the information is, how it looks. Look at the technology they had to use in order to build it. They used steam-powered shovels in order to build the Panama Canal. Okay, not just one, not a backhoe. Okay, steam-powered shovel on a rail usually. So it's just a feat on how we even constructed it. Focus on the racial classes of the workers and how the narrator depicts those. And then there'll be a little bit more information on what to do at the end. We're going to be moving on here. I know I told you we'd be writing a DBQ. However, looking over the information on what the DBQ is over, we've got to continue on in the book. So it will not be at the end of this chapter. The DBQ will not be it won't be this week. It'll be in a couple weeks. Those of you who are worried because you're going to Germany, don't worry. You'll be given all the opportunities and the same information as everybody else. So all will be well. In fact, get a little excited because you don't have to write a DBQ this week. However, we will go over some of those strategies again. But anyway, I hope this helped a little bit. Remember, you can always go back and re-watch some of the information, get it again if you need it for your notes. Finish up that video and then check out the rest of the directions on Google Classroom. Thank you.